free bird looking for my next show. Quick to draw and I shoot to kill. Do it all for the thrill of it. I'm an outlaw, cooler than the West Coast. I'm a young gun looking for a smoke show. Quick to draw and I shoot to kill. Do it all for the thrill of it. I'm an outlaw, glad it's on the East Coast. I'm a free bird looking for my next show. Quick to draw and I shoot to kill. Do it all for the thrill of it.
Can't stop thinking about it, what I lost, and how you came and took it all. All I know, the fire's burning, burning, burning inside. I need to lose control. I cannot let this go. Whoa. I'm here to win it all. 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 Ain't leaving nothing for ya, 'cause I'm here to win it all. I'm here to win it all. They say I've gotta let this go, but they don't know how much I've lost. All I know is that it's in your arms. I've gotta take it back, take it back. I'm here to win it all. 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 Ain't leaving nothing for ya, 'cause I'm here to win it all. I'm here to win it all. La 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 la. La 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 la. La
The wait is over. The time is now. Wild Rift Icons has begun. In the beautiful Singapore at the Suntec Convention Center, 24 teams from 10 regions will compete to determine who is the best Wild Rift team in the entire world. And I have the very big pleasure of being the host on day number 1. You can call him Kangas, and I'm joined by the amazing analyst Riku representing SEA and Hell's Devil representing EU. We're here!
We're here!
Yes!
I know, exactly. I mean, when we look back at year 0, it was a time where everybody's playing, like all the players are playing from their homes. Us broadcast talent are casting from our homes. And now this time around, Singapore, we're all here.
Everyone is here. Every single team, every single cast. So we got this. Like, this is going to be real fun,
We can literally see the players walking around at the event right now. The energy is electric. We hear production cheering for them as they're walking in. So it's fantastic stuff. Let's remind everybody what we're doing here. Of course, we are going to crown the winner of Wild Rift and the best team in the world. So let's take a look at the #1 seeds from each of their individual regions. These are the presumed best teams in the world at Wild Rift.
Yeah, definitely. And FPX, #1 in China. And we assume these guys are going to win the tournament, right? And there is a reason that we're saying this. This is a crazy team. And a funny thing about China, by the way, the top 1 and the team that won the last Horizon Cup didn't even make it. DKG didn't make it. That's how good China is. We got 4 new teams, and the Baron lane from FPX is the craziest one of all. And me saying that as an EU guy, you know, we have crazy Baron laners. This guy picks Akali, he picks Zed, he picks Olaf, he picks whatever he wants in the Baron lane and destroys everyone.
Yeah, hold up there, Hell's Devil. I mean, I know that they're incredibly strong. We all know that. But I feel like the best region to be able to match them is definitely SEA. WCS, we've got 4 representatives, not only like 4 unique sub-regions, which is Vietnam, the Masters regions, the Philippines, and Thailand, but also very stylistic differences. You know, when I think about Team Flash, I really think of them as a team that is able to match the WRL when it comes to mechanics.
And when we look back at historical context, because we did have Horizon Cup, which was the first ever international event for Wild Rift. It's not as big as Icons, but we did see SEA have a very strong performance. Also, we had WCK from Korea have very strong performances.
Yeah, I think there were a lot of huge expectations still, because when we look back at League of Legends PC, you know, there's a lot of class teams from that region. So when we look at Wild Rift, we saw Luna from RY Rolster had a phenomenal performance last time at the Horizon Cup, but they make a return here over at the Icon, so excited to see them again perform.
Yeah, definitely. But hold up, Riku, we got to talk about the Western teams as well, right? We got Immortals from NA, and this is an amazing team. A fun thing about Immortals, however, 2 of the players weren't able to make it, unfortunately, due to complications. We got Zello instead of Iraqi Zoro in the Baron lane now, and we got Starting instead of Hoon in the mid lane. But these are good players, Kangas.
Yeah, and again, also Starting's kind of coming back for redemption from Horizon Cup, where we saw North America struggle greatly. Not the best showing from them, but I still have faith. I think that Starting and Max Green back together can actually bring things together this time around.
And Lep Mont in the jungle. I mean, this guy, Kangas, this guy is crazy. His invades, his ganking, just his overall efficiency. And I'm sure that on the stage, if you go ahead and ask him, where's the enemy jungler, he'll pinpoint exactly where he is.
And of course, it's not just North America as the other representatives here. We do have some other regions too. So Europe is another one that we think can have a good chance of making a deep run here, as we're kind of making like the power tier list of the event.
Europe is another one indeed. And Team Queso, I mean, what am I supposed to say? These guys, in my opinion, have the best jungler in the world. And yes, here I'm saying it right now. I don't care about Chinese junglers. I don't care about American junglers. I don't care about anyone. We got Andres that this guy is not normal. He is incredible.
Yeah, I just, is there anybody else around Andres, though? That's the question. Because I would give you Andres. Probably top 5 jungler at the event.
I believe if there is one that could beat him out, it would be an NA jungler. But sorry, not NA. It would be a Chinese jungler.
Okay,
And from NA, Mont possibly, because I think he's on top of the ladder as well. But it's like Andres is a god jungler.
But we can't leave out Japan as a region, because Riku, if we again look at the historical context of Horizon Cup, they also made a pretty deep run. Yeah,
they had a very amazing performance. They really impressed us. You know, they exceeded expectations. They were very entertaining to watch. They have a very defined style when it comes to the WJC. They make a return. You know, we're not Dejiwo anymore, but they're still the 4 retaining cast, which I'm looking at Hak as well. And
I love those guys a lot, because Hak and Rush, they are fellow YouTubers, and they made it on top of the Japanese ladder as well. So they're on top of the content creation game, and they're also on top of the ladder for Japan. And now, are they going to be on top of the world as well?
Hell's Devil's starting to think maybe he could be a pro player. Seeing these other YouTubers actually make it out of there. But with that said, we also, of course, have LATAM and Brazil with, their chance at redemption from Horizon Cup. With STMN. But let's take a look at the play-ins, because group stage will happen next week. This week will be all play-ins, and we do have a lot of teams to cover here as well. There are 24 teams total, and these are the ones that are facing elimination after this week. The format for play-ins, a little different from last year Horizon Cup. We will have double elimination, best of threes for all of these teams.
Yeah, it's way different from the usual that we're accustomed to, like the single round robin, the double round robin. But this time around, it feels like the first day counts a lot. You gotta win. You gotta make sure you survive the double elimination because, again, every single game counts.
Yeah, if you make it through in the first day, you're nice and safe. But if you lose the very first game, well, you gotta win all of them. Otherwise, you're out. And another interesting thing, Kangas, is there are 24 teams now.
Yep.
It's not 10 teams. It's not like we don't just have one team this time, right? Like the last time. This time we actually have a lot of teams, so we have more chance to make it through the play-ins. Unlike last time.
Yeah, if you're a fan of any region, you're happy because, yeah, you don't just have one, maybe two representatives here. You got a lot.
And we is EU NNA, by the way. Unfortunately, during the last Horizon Cup, we didn't make it through the beginning part, but this time, we will for sure.
At least you got 3 seeds this year. We only managed
We deserve it.
two. But with that said, let's hear, because it's not just the 3 of us on broadcast. We'll be bringing you the action on the analyst desk for day 1. But let's take a look at everybody and our predictions for the favorite teams to make it out of their play-ins group, starting with Group B right now on your screen. I'm seeing a lot of, actually, JDG across the board right here. I think that's no surprise as the number 2 seed coming from the WRL.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, I see RRQ, you know, the 3rd seed coming from the WCS, but I see Devil here.
Okay.
Being the
Explain yourself.
factor.
And I believe in the Japanese teams. I believe Unsold Gaming could do it because, you know, it's a very consistent team. Like, if they can beat out a few teams in the beginning, they'll keep it up. That's what I know about Unsold Gaming, and I believe they'll do it during this live event. Like, if they can start out good, they'll continue and they'll make it out. And I think they could beat RRQ pretty easily. I'll say it here.
Is this where we laugh at him?
Later, when we find out.
Yeah.
When we find out. I'm ready. I'm ready for my laugh. Be prepared.
And I'm ready for the biggest laugh to all of you.
Japan made it out of group stages at Horizon Cup too. So historically, they have done well as a region.
That is true.
We'll see. We'll see. But now let's take a look at Group C, because that's the other group that we'll be watching today as we bring up those predictions. Anything spicy? So this one's a little more contentious. We actually have a lot of different teams kind of splitting that first place. Rix and JT taking that spot from all the casters. And then that second place, kind of all over the place.
Honestly, I'm not surprised to see, you know, VK there and T1 sort of fighting for the next that people are voting for, because I was torn myself. VK looked really good.
And you know what's interesting? Because Rix is from EU and J-Team is from China. And it's interesting to see that 4 of us chose for Rix, because China is the obvious best region.
Yeah.
But we believe in Rix.
Look at Stewart. He has Rixie. He doesn't even have and D-Gun. They don't even have J-Team on their list. That's crazy. But you have a lot of faith in VivoKey. So does Rafa. And I'm noticing something. The 2 of you did a lot of odd reviews of that region together. So yeah, what should we expect from them? Why do you think they're making it out?
VivoKey are good, Kangas. I saw them play, and we have big expectations of them. I have big expectations of them as well, especially as a Brazilian team. Brazil looked like a very strong region, so I feel like they could beat out anyone.
All right, well, that's a more bold prediction. I'm happy that you brought that up here because these are too easy. These are too easy of predictions. These are what everybody expects from us. But if we're talking bold predictions, do you think VivoKey are making it out?
I think VivoKey is going to destroy every single one in the play-ins without losing a single game.
But you had them second making it out of the group. How's that possible?
Still, they're not going to... Well, what do you mean second making it out of the group?
Mathematically, yeah, in group C. All right, we'll give him time to process that one. Riku, what's your bold take? If you have to really, you know, push the envelope for what you think could happen in play-ins.
Okay, for me, of course, it has something to do with RRQ, right? I'm looking at Chaz. RRQ for sure going to win their match today, but in what way? They're going to get an Elder or Baron Steel, and that's going to destroy the Nexus. Boom.
So you have a specific prediction for today and how they're gonna win a game.
That's a real bold prediction.
That is very bold. That is very bold. Well, I think I'm gonna call him out. I honestly think Hells is trying to farm those Brazilian Twitter followers with his prediction. So
what do you have to say?
I'll be honest. I'm gonna farm the EU Twitter followers. I think Rix GG are going undefeated in their group. Yeah, you heard it right there, EU fans. I have faith.
I should have said that. I should have been that guy.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, I'm thinking with my brain right now. My heart wants Rix, but my brain says VivoKey.
All right, fair enough. Well, with that said, let's take a look at the day 1 schedule so we can actually see the matches that will be played today. Like we said, it is Group B and C that we'll be focusing on, starting off with JDG versus Stamina, USG versus RRQ as our second series, Rix T1, and then VK JT. All these best of 3s, and a lot of really good matches, honestly, for day 1.
Yeah, I think for me it has to be USG versus RRQ because whenever we see RRQ, you don't know what's gonna happen. Always, every time we watch them play, you always go, whoa! Something like that happens.
You know, and I gotta be for my boys Riggs because we have to see how they play right now because they have a history with not doing too well on a live stage.
Sure.
So it's gonna be interesting to see them face up against a team like T1, right? Like this is a whole different kind of beast than the EU teams.
And Rix is an interesting one because a lot of EU fans, when I've talked to them or kind of heard in general the power rankings from EU, they're usually the favored team. And then it's Queso that just comes in and takes that first seed every time. So I think that this is a team from EU that can bring it to the Korean teams, T1 in particular. So with that said, though, that's also my must-watch match. So if you can only catch a couple, make sure that you're sticking up for the later ones of the day, but they're all going to be important. But let's get into match number 1, because that's the one that we're starting off with here. And I want to start actually analyzing these teams and start giving our thoughts of what we're going to see to kick off Icons with JDG.
Oh yeah, absolutely, right? JDG from the WRL. We talked about the region in general many times that they are the region to beat. And it's also because that the fact that they went through so many stages in the competition, the longest competition ever in the leading up to the Icons Global. We're talking about 6 stages, you know, crazy amount of teams, and it's just crazy competitive.
Yeah.
Like,
I actually have a fun fact for you, a trivia piece. A trivia piece for you, Rick. I'm going to test your brain. Between the regular season and playoffs, how many games did JDG play?
I'm going to make it very specific. 327.
Oh, wow.
I think 145.
145.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, okay, maybe this wasn't as impressive as the two of you thought it was going to be. 97.
Oh, okay.
It's still a big number, okay?
He's closer.
Hell's is closer. 327.
I'm so confident. 300.
It was over 100 if we factored in the qualifiers as well. That happened back in December. But if we're just taking the regular season and playoffs, 97 games.
That's a lot of games.
That's a lot of games.
That's a lot of games played, and that's only from, you know, JDG. And I mean, we talked about how competitive the WRL is because, you know, one night you're the best team, and the next morning you may not be the best team. So
and a big
that's how
factor
volatile
in that is the junglers. I'm sorry, but I gotta say it again, the junglers. Right? Like the Chinese
You'll
junglers.
hear that a lot with the Chinese teams.
The junglers.
Jindu, this guy is incredible. He loves assassins like the Rengar, like the Kazakhs. Unfortunately, Rengar got nerfed, so we gotta see what he picks up there.
True.
But that's what makes it more interesting. Like, is the Evelyn gonna come through? Are some other assassins gonna come through? Because this guy on the assassins, and he does all of the other champions as well. Like here you can see him on the Olaf too, but this Kazakh and this Rengar, incredible Kangas.
Yeah, he's just very proficient in these assassin champions, right? And when we look at the JDG playstyle, it's very, when I look at them, it's 4 supports, 1 carry. And I'm not talking about 4 supports like a Janna top, Lulu mid, or Sona Seraphine bot lane. I'm talking about the way that JDG plays is that they make sure that the lanes are stabilized so that, you know, Sindo is happy to farm peacefully and find an opportunity somewhere else in the map to attack.
Over half of the games had Kazakhs and Jags. If we look at literally all of their games are at the split. 97 played, and that is, what, 49 right there. So I did that math very fast. I'm quite proud of myself. Also interesting to note that they have a substitute Dragon Laner coming in,
That's
right?
Timeless is not attending due to complications. And now they got Chu coming in Dragon Lane. And this guy is incredible as well. He had a good history in the Dragon Lane too. So of course he got picked up by this team. And he's really good as well.
So with a new patch and also a new Dragon Laner, things are up in the air for how JDG will look day 1 here at Icons, but we still have some faith in them. But let's talk about the opposition now. Stamina is the opposite of the Rift from JDG to start off. And Stamina, of course, coming in from the WOL as the 3rd seed.
14-0 was their score in the group stage.
Yep.
14-0. And they reached the finals and they took Leviathan, which is the #1 team, to a 7-game best-of-3 series.
Yeah.
That is insane.
Crazy.
And lower bracket finals run was pretty deep, yeah.
They even took the first 2 games from them, but then they lost the whole thing. But that shows they have the potential.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're definitely strong, right? And it is all thanks to definitely one of their players at the top lane. It was Death, one of the youngest players as well in the region. Is 18 years old. A very, very good team player as well. And when we talk about, when we look at him rather, he's not the typical Baron lane where you expect him to split push. No, he is a team fighter Baron laner who's going to join the fight as a Fiora and get gold through these fights, as we get to see on the screen with a triple kill.
Yeah, I love to see these young players coming in here and having a splash in their regions, and a lot of eyes will be on that player from the WL fans saying, all right, this is kind of a chance for redemption, because we look at the historical context at Horizon Cup. Unfortunately, LATAM did not make it that far in that tournament. So obviously this is a chance for redemption. It's tough, though, because you're against the #2 seed from arguably, if not just definitively, the best region. So let's start thinking about other things that STMN can use in their arsenal, because there's an interesting thing that they have going on in the Dragon Lane.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? I mean, Hells brought it up earlier that there's a new Dragon Laner coming in, adjustments coming in from JDG. So when we look at Stamina's Dragon Lane, they have 2 Dragon Laners that they constantly switch up here and there in between the series, in between matches. So this is going to be very interesting how the dynamic is going to go, because there's a different scenario where you get Cold first coming in, and then the finishing series will be Gomelo.
And Hells, the interesting thing about that, if you swap out double Dragon Laners, keep in mind, like you said, JDG have a sub-Dragon Laner in for them. So maybe a weakness on this team already, and we're on a new patch. So if you're thinking about like learning all the new champions that are meta, the buffs to Morgana, this is maybe a big opportunity for Stamina to say, look, we have this tool in our arsenal where we can split the time of our Dragon Laners to practice different picks.
Indeed, and this is the Dragon Lane patch as well. Well, not necessarily this one, but a recent patch made Dragon Laners so much better, and multiple Dragon Laners got buffed. The Jhin got buffed, the Tristana got buffed. Like, so many more builds are available, so having 2 Dragon Laners, right, like they can focus on some champions, that could be a thing that could allow him to win, yeah.
So let's start thinking about that from the matchup of these 2 teams. If we're thinking stylistically, we've broken down how they both like to play. Riku, how do you see these teams clashing against each other in a best-of-3 series?
I mean, on paper, of course, this is going to be a very difficult fight for Stamina, but at the same time, for me, the conditions for them to have an easier, well, not easier, a doable game is to survive the laning phase, because they love them team fights, they love to fight as 5v5s, so it's all about surviving that laning phase.
JDG is gonna win 2-0 in 10 minutes.
Come on!
It's easy. That's
all
all
right,
I
well,
gotta say.
Hells definitely has a lot of confidence in JDG,
True.
but I'm not so sure about Game 2. Game 1, we'll see the form that JDG is in, but if we're looking, again, at having 2 different starting Dragon Laners, you can be in the back room watching what JDG is doing and how they're playing around their bottom laner, and then adjust your style going forward, and that's why best of 3 in the plans is so much more exciting for me, because we can actually see adaptation happen in a best of.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Play-ins, BO3 right away. You get to use one of your strengths, which was switching your 2 Dragon Laners here and there in a BO3 scenario. A lot of adjustments, a lot of breathing room, but it still doesn't change the fact that this is the first game ever of the Icons.
I just don't think it matters, to be honest. Like, JDG is just a whole different beast compared to Stamina. Stamina is a great team, but like, I gotta be honest, my opinion is that JDG is just gonna wipe the floor with them. Like, it just doesn't matter. You can do what you want, but if you're up against these mechanical gods of JDG, you're not going to be able to do anything.
And that's something, as we're getting ready for game #1 here shortly, just to keep in mind throughout the event, is that we kind of talked about this at the top of the show, the power scaling of the different regions, and we really do put a lot of weight on the WRL in general. But it does feel like JDG, they're not, infallible. They're second seed from the best region, but they had a rough start. They were able to adapt to a new meta here, but again, it's a new patch, so anything could happen still. I know Hells is, anytime we give back to him, he's just going to keep saying JDG over and over again, but Riku, tell me there's hope.
Okay. Maybe a little bit, because when we look back at Horizon Cup, where when we look at Dakun Gaming, okay, Huiba's the primary target. He's going to be a problem, so let's make sure that we have tools to eliminate a single threat composition, and therefore, if ever, JDG does the same thing.
We just spent about 3 minutes. I'll let you talk.
Something important.
All right, yes, you go.
There's a guy that I know who has the exact same thing, Andres Z. I asked him, how do you deal with it? Well, I just got used to it. That's his answer. These guys are different, as I said. Like, these guys just deal with it. They know how to deal with it, and it doesn't matter. Like, you can focus him, he still gets through it.
Well, we just spent a couple minutes trying to hype up Stamina. We all do have JD Gaming taking this. I think they should be favorites, but a win here for Stamina would be huge for the region. And I know that a lot of us have been celebrating the start of Icons. At home, you've been celebrating. I hear that we actually have an insight as to how my analysts celebrated the start of Icons here. I think we can actually take a look at that. See, I'm diligently taking notes. You can see I'm preparing. This is the job of a host, always trying to wrangle the kids. And, yeah, it's just like nod along, acknowledge what's happening, but don't encourage it.
I love it so much. You're just so busy with the writing.
I'm never going to dance again.
With that said, though, we are ready for game #1. So let's send it over and get into the Icons.
set for the Wild Rift Icons Global Championship here in Singapore. STMN and JDG Gaming are leading the charge in our first best-of-3 series. I'm Grant, and joining me here is... Did you grow a little, Omo?
I grew a little bit over the off-season. I was waiting for icons. I did a bit of practice, and I got a bit taller.
Does it work that way? What's going
It
on
works
here?
however I
What's
say
going
it
on? No, it's definitely something's up. No, this does not seem right.
Luckily, nothing is up with two teams right now. On your screen, you see JDG, Jindong Gaming, as well as STMN, STMN Esports. Get ready, head right into draft.
And the very first bands we have going into this, we've had some expectations it might happen, especially with new champions unlocked, but for the most part, the Chinese region has been at the forefront of what has been determined as good meta gameplay. STMN start this one off, batting away the Singe.
And that's a perfect ban against the WRL region. They've been setting the meta, like you said, since basically Horizon Club. Their priority on the Zed, on the Jax back then. Right now it's the Singe. You see the other regions adapting and learning and taking away these picks as well. JDG, their bans are very interesting too. The Yumi, the Senna, these are picks which the WRL normally prioritizes as well. So getting rid of it from STMN, a sign of respect to start things.
A lot of strong first pick options. JDG removed away. STMN will continue the trend now with the Lee Sin and the Karma trying to open up. Honestly, I'd say not that many strong first pick options. Not as strong anymore.
Well, there's a couple, right? But like we talked about in the pre-show as well, there's been a lot of meta changes. There's been a lot of patches since we last saw pro play. I would like to say, well, I'm about to say this is the first pick option, but JD is going to get rid of that one. And our pre-show desk, our analysts, they said that Lucian was going to be priority. They said that the Dragon Lane meta was coming. And STMN, well, they agreed with that.
And we have to mention here, STMN have this rotating Dragon Lane role. Yeah. Gomelo and Cold both come in, depending on the situation. So it won't be Gomelo coming in to fill that spot. But I want to raise an important player for STMN. It's their Baron leader with Def. Going up to the top side, he's going to have his work cut out for him. He's going to face on against some of the best competition. Doki being one of the first, he's definitely got his work cut out for him.
One of many, hopefully, for STMN and for with Def. It's going to be a cocky answer here from the side of JDG. They're saying you're going in on the Lucian, you're going to play early game, you're going to play aggressive. Cocky Zix, this is a very stable draft. It calls back to the Varus Cocky we used to see. A lot of poke, a lot of long range artillery barrage coming in. And the best part is, Grant, a lot of wave clear, a lot of scaling. If your Lucian doesn't break us open in the first 10 minutes of the game, we are set to scale in peace.
And Rico has said this before, they play basically like four types of supports.
Yes. Allowing
for their jungler to really pop off, you know, whether that's going to be Chi here or it's going to be Singdo. Yeah. Depending on the kind of situation, Chi coming in, now having to try to fill in that role, it's going to be a big shift, but we want to see how they play with that.
Exactly, and we're still expecting the junglers to be very strong. We're not expecting to see too many jungle pick changes. We still see the Jax coming in likely for the Lezing here, and we're going to see the Kazakhs coming in for Singdo, one of his best picks, one of the highest priority, fourth most picked up band in the WRL as well. And that's exactly a term for what Riku was talking about, Grandin. They call it 4 protect 1, or a better way to think about it is 4 facilitates 1. And you're starting to see the makings of that here for JDG. We've got lots of wave clear, we just need some crowd control, and I think JDG's comp is set for a very typical WRL draft.
I like what STMN is going for here though. They have the Jax, they have to set, you know, there's still a lot of crowd control, good options to go and split push to farm up. I really want to see where these champions are going to go. There's still a lot of flex opportunities, so the Jax might not go in the jungle, might go somewhere else.
And I do like the Jax to kind of balance out the Lucian as well. Lucian gives you power early. First 2 dragon fights, Lucian's gonna have a lot of power there. And then you kind of let the Jax take over. He starts to become the carry. And we're starting to see the stylistic differences between these 2 drafts come out into play. Renekton, that's exactly what we were saying, right? Setup, we need crowd control. Renekton, point and click, sets up the Kazakhs to just come in, one-shot somebody. STMN, they want to dive in right now. JDG, they're playing it a little more slow, a little bit more options with their draw.
It's good to see some things never change. The Renekton comes back, and time in, time out. Always that staple option, the Baron lane. The Renekton, a very strong, safe option, but STMN with the curveball.
Well, this Lux is definitely a flex pick, right? The Lucian is also a flex pick, and that's the good thing about STMN's draft. Despite being on blue side, they've basically drafted 5 flex picks here. I would say the Jax is pretty much set for the jungle role, but everything else you can kind of have a bit of flexibility there. JDG, what's your final answer here gonna be? Likely support, right?
Yeah, JDG still have the support position open, and it's going to turn out to be the Rakan. A good option when you have a kind of hyper carry in the jungle. You have some support options, but at the same time, you have the crowd control, you have the engage that your team might need.
And I love the adaptation we're seeing here from the side of STMN, the flex potential of their team lets them get the matchups that they want. They're gonna likely go with Lucian in the mid lane. I think that's great to set up for a Jax jungle. You get Prio, you get Tempo. That lets Jax play the game the way he wants to. You don't want to let Kha'Zix take over the game in the early stages, and this draft should allow for that.
And we have so many things to talk about, but I want to go back towards WithDef. You know, he's a big standout player in my eyes. Such a young player coming into this, but there's one bit that really catches my eye.
Okay.
He likes pineapple on pizza.
Granted, I'm gonna be real with you here. I'm a pineapple on pizza fan myself.
Okay, so talk me through this. I want to understand this.
The sweet balances out the salty, exactly like how the draft has been so balanced out by JDG as well.
That was a good pivot. That was a
Of
good
course.
pivot. I want to see the mechanics of a man that likes pineapple on pizza.
Well, he's
up
on
in the
Garen
barrel
duty in
lane,
this
up
game.
against the red. We've seen some spicy Garens.
Yeah,
well,
that
you
is
don't
true.
get spicy Garens from the pineapple. Maybe like the acid from the pineapple or something. I'm stretching. I'm reaching.
I think the thing we need to really think about is STMN's coach probably doesn't like the pineapples on pizza. Garen duty for you WithDef.
All right, there we go. That's the answer for them. We need to see what they have in store for us.
Yeah.
Moving into game number 1. Big expectations here on Stamina. Felt that JD should take this 2-0. We need to see how Stamina have to put up a fight.
I completely agree. Don't ask me my opinion because I'm always going to say WRL 2-0.
All right, game number 1 coming your way as we move into the Rift. We need to see if they have something in mind here. Sirius moves into the mid lane with the Lucian going up against Yuchu and the Corki. An important matchup for them here. If the Lucian doesn't manage to get a hit, they're going to have some issues, especially once the Corki and the Ziggs start to scale up.
Yeah, I think the Lucian in the mid lane against the Corki is not one of his better matchups because it's shots lane. You can't really pressure the Corki so much. You give him a bit of space to really just chill and farm the wave under his turret. But the problem is exactly this. You're gonna give your own jungler some space. So Lazing will have more time to farm, to scale, and that's really the crux of this team comp, I would say.
Well, immediately a strong start happens as Lemon's looking for the solo kill and he finds it without having to blow a summoner away from WithDef.
Well, WithDef had the barrier, had the flash. I think he kind of just realized he was dead. Because if he had used the barrier, Lemon would have held it for a second, flash forward, and killed you anyway. And you said WithDef was going to get challenged. Lemon comes in, level 2 to level 1. You didn't count the minion waves, you didn't count the creeps, you get solo.
That's the way you have to start this one off. Puts a little bit more pressure on Lazing's top side. You know, we get to see now Lemon gets to go back to the reset. We get to see Doki come in with a beautiful grand entrance. Sirius pops the summoner spell. It is going to be the exhaust.
Yeah, well, you don't have to use the flash because I forgot you're playing against Corki. That champion just does no damage unless he has the package.
He'll do damage at some point. Once he has
Eventually, right? I mean, it's a very contentious topic. Which Corki build? Good one. Some people say, I hate Howlbreaker. Some people hate, I hate Black Cleaver. Some people hate Essence Reaver. I'm actually a fan of the Howlbreaker because I think that lets Corki do what he really wants to. Just AFK, scale up in the side lane, and he gets really hard to kill.
And on the topic of the Corki on the package, we have to mention a really big change. Now with the objective spawning slightly later, there is a little bit more flexibility with that package timing.
And I am a big fan of the 5-minute objective spawns as well. I think that's one of the best changes we've seen. Give teams a little bit more space to play in the laning phase. Lemon's already got a solo lead. I want to see mechanics. I want to see individual laning prowess have more of an impact on the outcome of the game. And I think that JDG, well, they're going to be very happy with the change as well with how this laning phase has been going for them.
Lemon's definitely going to be happy. He's going to almost have his Ignite back up, so even with Lazing moving up the top side, it's going to be a tall task to try and take down Renekton.
Yes. It's going to be very difficult. It gets to a point where Renekton can trap in a 1v2 as well. Voidner just making a trip down here to mid lane, making sure Sirius can get the shove. I think he wants to go for a reset, maybe?
A nice roam, but intercepted here by Doki as they move back in onto Sirius. The Ignite comes down, Culling comes across. Jojo takes a bit of damage on the way out, but still takes away double sums from Voidner.
Very interesting trade there for Avoidant. I think he made a very proactive decision to try to blow Summoner Spell. And he wouldn't have been wrong in that regard as well. I trade my flash for your flash, for your mid laner's flash. Just not a bad call. But Doki, he was well aware. He was waiting in the wings. Really good stuff from JDG to start things off, to really just deny a playmaking attempt.
I love ultimate use on the side of Stamina though, and Avoidant a little bit late to pick up his level 5. JDG get a very big engage tool with the Rakan here. Question is, can they pair this together with Sing though? He's been happily farming up a Storm. Doesn't have to worry about things. Lazing, the exact same thing. They're both off in their own jungle. It's a different game for the junglers here.
There's a bit of a timing window, and this is something I love from WRL teams as well. With the objective spawns coming up at 5 minutes, it gives you a bigger window where you can try to sneak play sometime around the 4-minute mark, where you get your first items completed, where you get your summoner spells, your ultimates, you go sneak play, and it's up for the objective again.
A binding on to Doki, dashes away, gets back to safety, which should.
a little bit dangerous on him there now with death.
Yeah, this is a bad spot to be in. He has a barrier, but not much left after that. Goes down, and a second kill over the JDG.
Well, when life gives you lemons, you go down 0-2. That's a rough start. From with that, he still has the barrier as well. I think his mistake in that situation was actually pathing away from the turret. He got isolated, and you know what Kha'Zix does to you, right? He has the Dust Blade picked up right now. 4 minutes, you have a minute to play with. No cams on the map. I want to see this as a timing window for Singdo and Doki to try to sneak a play.
Definitely seems worrying if you're going into this one facing off against JDG, who are going to be able to play as that 5-man. We start to see now STMN's adaptation. They bring over the bot side, Gomelo and Avoidant up into the top end, trying to deal with Lemon here. A good fight continues as Doki comes in to provide some support, jumps over onto Avoidant, gets the knockback over on the back end, coming through with a little bit more damage, but jumping in, doesn't need it. Still finishes off the kill, and a second pickup as Singdo comes in to clean up the top lane.
And it's so close. They nearly took down Lemon, but I think he knew exactly how much damage he could take there. Gets out of trouble. Ultimates were popped by JDG, but they just need to stall a little bit. Give it maybe 30 seconds, your outs will be up. You'll have the package as well, and the objective might start to look really good for you as well.
And this is the way that JDG want to go about things, right? They are more than happy to stall things out a little bit longer and just dominate lane.
And Avoidant has been very aggressive. I love to see that from him. He's not been afraid to go for the proactive plays. My issue now is I think, well, we have to look at this first.
Yeah, we don't have time for that. Beautiful face breaker, pulls 2 in, grabs the light binding, taking down Singdo. Jungler gone, and now JDG fighting within the pit.
Oh no.
Ripped Herald stolen away by Stamina. Chi watching as Stamina take away the objective.
And Singdo gets dropped there. That gives it over to the side of Stamina. They get the kills. They lose the kills, rather. Well, they trade 1 for 1. It's not the worst. But they do pick up the Rift Herald that's on Avoidant. He's doing a very good job here. I was just about to say, he might not be used to playing against opponents of this caliber, but just as I was about to say that, the Flash Facebreaker starts to fight off perfectly. It's just going to be an objective.
Avoidant's been doing an amazing job. Been so proactive, taking these calculated risks. At times does not work out, but in this situation, it could help them snowball back in. JDG respond by at least picking up the Mountain Drake in the bottom side. Gives them something back for their troubles.
Yeah, this is something we touched on as well, right? The 2 drafts kind of want to do different things. The 2 drafts kind of hit different timings of strengths. JDG, they want to play it a little bit slower. This Rift Herald in the pocket of Avoidant could potentially give Stamina something to really just break open the map, break open the mid lane turret. That's something you often have trouble with against a mage, especially against a Ziggs.
Well, pace of the game is going to slow down a little bit again as we look to see junglers continue to snowball their way into a strong point. We have the Dustblade come across, looking for his first full item.
Wave is gone.
Strong wave clear, exactly as you expect from the Ziggs. Looking to try and take down Avoidant here. He still has the shield coming across. Singdo gets stunned on the way in. The Kali comes across. The Ignite finishes the job, and the Rift Tower goes down. But not before it takes down the turret with it. Sirius narrowly escapes from Chu.
Nice little exhaust there to get him away from Singdo. Gomelo, Lemon wants to dive this.
He's committed for the fight. Doki's coming in here. He's just waiting for the support. They're just making sure they have all the tools they need. Flash still up for Gomelo, but Gomelo goes down to the Ignite.
Very, very clean combo there from Lemon and Doki. This is what I mean when I say WRL teams have the best fundamentals of any team in the world. The little detail to just wait for the Rakan E1 to use your dash, and then he can follow up. I mean, it's just clean, right? I sound like a bit of a fanboy right now, but that's because I am. JDG doing a good job here representing the WRL in their debut game.
And JDG looking for the 3rd turret of the game. Might find it in the bottom side, but Whipdeath's going to hold his own for now. Clearing out waves, that's one of the advantages of having that Garen. Just
and look at how the map flows right now from JDG. It's almost poetic. You shove out the mid lane, you make a play. Well, let's break it down, right? You make a play in top lane. That's a +1 lead for you that you get a lane advantage. You shift your Renekton down to mid lane. That gives you the space to shift your mid laner down to the Dragon lane. And it all just flows like a river from JDG right now. Once they get control, they're going to keep it. I don't think they're going to throw this away. We really have to look out for Avoidant to make another hero play at the next spawn.
You know I have to make the Bruce Lee quote here, right?
Do it. I don't even know what quote you're talking about.
It's a be like water, my friend.
Oh, okay. Wait, is that the full quote?
No, it's like water in a cup, you become the cup, something along those lines, and then like be like water, my friend.
Okay.
So like be flexible, be fluid, like what JDG are doing right now. Something else that we do get to see, Juju does apparently like the Hullbreaker build. That's the thing he's going to try and go for as they're isolating them off this wave.
Yeah. And I don't have a fancy quote for you, but I'm going to tell you, JDG, full control, they're going to dive this.
Yeah, moving on to Sirius. He's flashback on the turret, but your turret is not safe. Lemon chasing after, finds the kill over in the back. Singdo still alive, takes down Lazing. And with the laser, trying to do a bit more damage. But Voided taken down by the Ignite from Lemon yet again. A double kill for this Renekton.
It's 8 minutes, 9 minutes in the game, and we're rapidly approaching a 10,000 gold lead here for JDG. We said they were scaling. We said it's Cocky Timer. We said it's Ziggs Timer. But despite having these two artillery champs, JDG just say, you know what, it's okay, we're gonna dive you between your tier 1 and tier 2. We're gonna farm you between your turrets. We're gonna stun Sirius. We're gonna kill him. Signal does get kind of chunked out, and that's why he kind of drops very early on in the play. He jumps into the spin from the Garen, the Lux AoE, but still, perfect damage calculation from Lemon at the end there. Just really good stuff. Aggressive play, but calculated aggression from JDG.
Trying to take down the turret here. You're just going to walk in. You guys have to see the ultimates come across. That's that's the Ziggs ones being used. Valkyrie being used across as well. Culling still coming out from Sirius. But nothing else happening. No one able to fully commit to the fight.
Good idea from the package there, but we see more backup coming in.
Well, I say that, but Doki, he's gone in. He's trying to lead the way in, but Voided once again goes into the backline. He has that face breaker, but watching the other side of the map, Lemon, Signal both trying to push up against Gomelo.
And look at the other side of the map. Yeah, that's exactly what you're talking about. They're not going to be able to hold that. Gomelo is all alone. They're going to get the tier 2 for free here.
Pushed away from the turret. That's the split map play. It's so poetic. It's flowing like water. They take the top side, and they push them off the bot side as well.
And that's exactly what WRL teams love to do as well. They love to follow you on the side lane. They love to play the cross map. Give them a champion like Kha'Zix. And if you ever dare to show your face in the side lane, he's going to be there threatening you, pressuring you. Maybe I have a fancy quote, something like float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Does that describe Kha'Zix adequately?
Sure.
I can see the
yeah, I can see it. Like I'm kind of drawing. Yeah.
All right. Well, JDG, doesn't matter what quote you use to describe them, they are just in full control. They've hit the 10,000 at 10-minute gold mark that we kind of talk about. And I want to point out, do you see an interesting item there from Doki? I'm not talking about the Warmox out.
Are you talking about the rocket belt then?
Not about the rocket belt. I think this is Siege Jar he's picked up for himself. He's going to be able to drop some nice little plants. I think it doesn't matter what he buys as well at this point in the game.
Stamina. Some idea for what they want to try and get done. Valkyrie's going to be used again. And Doki, a beautiful move to dance around from target to target, takes down Sirius, and now the exhaust onto Voided. He's looking to try and flash away, chasing after with that. Doki once again flashes in. The Grand Entrance is knocked up onto the set. Takes him down. It's going to go over the ship.
Look at Doki!
And Doki, he frankly just does not care.
He's going
he knows you don't have the turret. He's gonna knock you up again. He's gonna hold you in place. She's like, my feet are too small. I can't get there in time.
And this isn't even cross-map play at this point. This is cross-map domination from JDG. All 3 lanes are being pushed in. They're gonna get the Rift Herald on this mid-tier tree, and they're gonna get it as well with the Ziggs.
Yeah, they just need to use the package.
There we go.
Well, not the package, but a satchel charge. Yeah. They take that one down. That is the inhibitor in the mid lane. Gone 11.5 minutes into game number 1.
15,000 gold lead. JDG, they are just accelerating at the pace of light right now, at the speed of light right now. Third Dragon, it's not going to even spawn in time, I think. I feel like JDG might be able to close this one out. Just play on 2 lanes, one on the top lane, one on the bot lane. You really just push your lead, and it's about time to close here. The Jax, we said he was the late game insurance. 1 Triforce, 1 Vamp Scepter. Man cannot do a thing right now. Lucian, he's supposed to be the early game power source, but with Howlbreaker, Black Cleaver, you do no damage.
So who deals with Lemon at this point? Who deals with the silent?
Who deals with anyone? Who deals with Doki, granted?
Who deals with Doki? No one can take him down. He's so nimble. He's able to dash around, looking for the engage. And while they had a good idea of this, Gomelo coming in here with the Lux, trying to give them that AP damage, that pick-off potential. They just play into JDG, and JDG will happily accept that.
Yeah, I mean, there's really not many things Stamina can do at this point. I did like the ideas with the draft, and look at that, just Renekton threatening the solo kill on the Garen, forcing the flash. He had the Howlbreaker proc as well, he just couldn't do a thing against Lemon.
A swift flash away from Whiff Death means he won't have that tool again. That's a bomb side turret gone, top wave not pushing in, but I don't think they care.
I'm gonna be very real with you here. I think this one is about done. I want to see if Whiff Death next game issues a challenge to Lemon.
Here we go, engaging in on the turret, goes first, but you have the package already used and drawing a line in the sand. A beautiful pull out from Voided. Manages to pull in and take down Jojo. Dived into the can they be punished? Sirius gets caught out. Signal and Doki again taking him down.
And the hero right there was Voided. They dive in from the side of JDG, but Voided just stuns up 5 members with a facebreaker, brings Jojo back into the team, and gone a bit too aggressive now.
All eyes on Voided. He knows he has to be the one to make a play.
He has been trying his best to make play this entire game. Call back to the laning phase. He went for the flash phase breaker onto JoJo, but it wasn't enough. It hasn't been enough. His team has not been there to back him up. They simply cannot get past the phalanx that we're seeing from JDG right now. Just too good.
Second inhib gone, Baron is up, and that should be the final nail in the coffin, at least in game number 1. Stamina need to find a way to recalibrate moving into game number 2.
And keep your eye on Voidner right now. He finds an amazing angle, really just gets all 5 members without needing a flash, and this was the hero play. This saved the day. This lets them fight another day. Look at how low everyone on the side of Stamina is. Sirius tries to go back in. He wants to be a bit aggressive, but his team, they're all 1 HP. They can't back you up. That's about it, right? Baron with this team comp is basically free here for the side of JDG.
They've stolen the Rift Herald, now they need to steal the way to Baron.
They can't even walk in.
Wants to get some vision for his team, but Singto's hot on his tail and will take him down. With a little bit of help from Doki, they get caught on the way out, but he's going to flash in either way. Beautiful tag back over on the side. With Death comes in, finally manages to get the execute onto the Rakan, taking down the biggest nemesis in this game.
And I've been really liking the synergy that we've been seeing from Chi and Doki as well. We said that Timeless one, he was a big part of JDG's successes. He was one of the up-and-comers that the team plays around. But Chi and Doki have had tremendous synergy. Now, I know that's not something you usually say about a Ziggs Rakan combo, but every time that's the Inferno Bomb comes in,
place, and then the ult comes in.
Exactly. It's kind of like when you hold the guy's arm behind his back, and your friend goes and punch him 1 or 2 in the face.
Okay, yeah,
Just an example.
Sure. Like that, right?
Like
just
that.
Holds him.
Well, that's like 3-on-1.
Renekton goes in, stuns him, holds him in place, and then Sirius gets barraged by the other spells.
Well, Singdo is very aggressive here.
He's in a bad spot, but he has Lemon to back him up. The teleport's now starting to come in, just goes into his ultimate. He goes invisible. You can't touch him. And so they walk in your base. They have the Baron powder minions. There's no way to stop them, even as you try and get a little more damage on the way out. They start to walk in the Nexus, and you the Guardian Angel, you have too much against you. JDG show up on the international stage with a beautiful fashion. Game number 1 goes their way.
And it was a bit of a bloodbath as well. It was a bit of a slacking here from JDG as well, and it was not unexpected.
So much done here by JDG. They've been able to go into this one with incredible fervor, and I have to say, this is exactly what we're expecting from this powerhouse of a team. And we need to see what Stamina have in store for us as they go into game number 2. They have to try to kind of relook their strategy, right? I like the things that they brought in. The Lucian was a nice pick.
Yeah.
But then the Lux kind of felt like it was a little bit out of place for what they want to go.
I did like the Lux, but the problem with the Lux is she's not your primary carry. She needs to facilitate the rest of the team. Can you picture a world where Lucian has items that actually does damage? You have a Jax, you have a Garen, they're leading the charge, you're spamming Lux shield on them, you're spamming binding off cooldown. But the problem is when the rest of your team falls behind, Lux is kind of Luxter in that sense. Second one of the day, I think I need to
all right. Not too bad, not too bad. A strong start from you and from JDG. We're going to toss it back over to the analyst desk to break down game number 1 between our first BO3.
No, we're not.
I guess not.
Yeah,
Just
what's
not.
up?
Well, lackluster. That's a new one. I like that coming in. It's unique. But game 1 in the books here for Icons, and it is, of course, JDG that take the win right there. We have said during the analyst desk at the top of the show, how does Stamina hold on? They have to survive laning phase. Did they check that box, Riku?
Unfortunately, no. I mean, when we looked at the draft, we saw that with Death, he picked up the Garen, which meant that he's basically throwing in the towel, making sure that he doesn't die. You pick a Garen so you don't die, but unfortunately, that Renekton was pretty scary.
And yeah, indeed, talking about the Renekton, which was Lemon, he absolutely destroyed with that. He destroyed him, no chance. And not only that, like throughout the entire game, he knew what he was doing. He was pushing bot lane when he had to push bot lane. He was rotating to the dragon when he had to rotate. He was doing whatever he had to do, and he did it perfectly.
And he played the level 1 in his lane so well as well. I mean, if you're hitting level 2 first, you're just all inning. And we saw that, with Death was like, I'm not even going to blow a summoner spell to give that one up. In Stamina's credit, they did have that one good Rift Herald fight. So we did see some inklings of where their strengths are, which is in the team fight where they're able to actually go for it. But before we get into that, this is the highlight. Yeah, that level 2 versus level 1, pretty rough.
And this is the pain every Baron laner feels, right? Like when a level 2 Renekton dives you, you know it is over. Because that's the annoying thing. The stun takes so long. The ignite comes through. Lemon knew that as well, and he abused it instantly.
But there was this moment here where Stamina actually had a pretty good setup.
Yeah, with the Flash, Facebreaker, and then they're able to secure that Rift Herald and destroy Singdo as well. It was looking pretty good.
But meanwhile, as you can see, Juju was already starting the Dragon. And this is also another thing that JDG did incredibly well. Their objective play, their macro play, just everything.
Yeah.
So they were already doing the Dragon. They lost Rift Herald, but they did it anyways.
They were doing so many things all over the map. Like, okay, guys, Singdo saying, I'm taking Rift Herald. You guys go push all the lanes. I got this, boys.
And talking about pushing lanes, in the late game as well, like they did what they had to do. Right here you can see it. They dove a turret when they had to, but they didn't always do this. There were also moments where they were doing the 1-3-2. And if you're not familiar with what 1-3-1, sorry, if you're not familiar with what that means, it's one guy in the top lane, a guy in the bottom lane, and then 3 in the mid lane, applying as much pressure as is humanly possible.
That way they're able to push in every lane. They were invading in the jungle, starving out stamina from any single opportunity that they had to get gold back into the game. And we heard on the cast, there was a point where it's like, yeah, this game's over. We need to start thinking about game number 2. And we know that Stamina is an interesting team going into game number 2, Riku, because of this interesting kind of duo dragon lane that they have.
Yeah, first up, we saw Gomelo on the Lux, which is definitely one of his unique champions. When we see, Stamina play Lux, it's Gomelo on the board. But this time around, maybe they can swap within the series with Cold coming in, perhaps going to be on the wave clear duty with maybe the Ziggs could possibly come out. Especially Ziggs was so strong on JDG side.
But it doesn't feel like Lux was the problem, however. I get that they have to try something else, but like everything was the problem. They lost everyone. And if there was one thing that worked in their favor a little bit, was those moments where they caught out JDG with the Lux.
I would even say with death on the Garen, we already kind of talked about our thoughts on that. Yeah, the Lux actually did a lot of work here for Stamina. But then you look at the Baron lane matchup, and that was the big differentiator here. If Stamina is saying, all right, with death, we're going to give you the Garen so that you survive, and then he dies level 1, what do we think about the superstar coming in from the LATAM team? Because this is a young player. We know he's a stud in his own region, but now at the international stage, this is a new level of competition.
But that's the thing, right? If you're a Garen, you can't really exactly do playmaking, like flashy plays as the Garen. So most likely, if he's able to create an impact, something similarly to Riven, a Fiora, something that can possibly open up an outplay scenario. I know it's very difficult because you're up against JDG, but it's a possibility because we saw how they're doing pretty well than expected.
Yeah.
But don't forget, this is the Icon series. There's a lot of pressure, and these younger players, they can't really deal with this pressure as well as the veterans. So I just feel like he kind of has to get in the groove. But the question is, does he have enough time for that?
I mean, you have a little bit longer until you're back on stage. So maybe a couple minutes here. Right. And now I want to bring it back to the JDG side and talk about this team. Like Rico was kind of alluding to, maybe we can even get that graphic back up on the screen of just the game end score right there. When we look at China as a region, we had expectations for them coming into Icons of how well they were going to do. This is pretty gross when you look at performance. Is this matching the expectation that we had set up for the WRL representatives?
I don't know. I feel like there's still a little bit of power of holding back. There's still a little bit of that coming from JDG.
This isn't their final form?
It's not yet their final form.
I think this is not their final form either. I was just about to say it because they won in 15 minutes. Remember what I said? 10 minutes.
Oh, you did?
I thought that they would win even harder than this. Like, this is already domination. This is clear domination.
Yes.
18,000 gold lead in 15 minutes. You don't even see this in a ranked match when there's like a super team against a bad team. And then also 18 on 4. Like, this is domination. But I believe there is utter domination behind these teams. And, JDG still got to get more out of them.
I will say, it doesn't show on the graph, but Stamina got the Herald.
Yeah.
So that is another objective on their side. We remember that Herald fight, but the gold graph, this is something that we like to call in North America because this happens a lot. It's a slip and slide where there's a 1,000 gold lead per minute in the game.
Ooh.
Yeah. So JDG giving one of those in game number 1 of Icons at the international stage. We knew that this potential could come to fruition because of the level of competition coming out of the WRL and just how strong these teams are. So it's a rough drop from Stamina going up against them. But if you're WRL fans right now, keep the faith alive. Keep rooting for them because this is a best of 3, and we know that this is a team that is dangerous in best of 3s.
Yeah, again, we talked about how you gotta survive the laning phase. I'm expecting to pick something that can create an impact. But at the same time, it is a BO3, there's still a lot of adjustments to work with.
Well, he got destroyed as Garen, who champion you can play pretty safely with. So imagine if you pick a higher skilled champion and doesn't do well. That one too, he will get destroyed even more.
Well, what do you think then? What would you recommend?
He has to do anyways. He has to do it anyways.
So,
I
so
think
you
he
say
has to
go for the
it.
skill check.
Exactly. You have to do it. Like, it's the way to win the game. You can't just lay down, play the Garen, and be like, yeah, whatever, my is going to carry the game. No, you got to pick those types of chances. So you got to carry the game as well, and you got to do your job and win the lane.
I think playing with confidence would feel great in game number 2. After a game like that, I don't want to see a passive stamina back. I don't want them to say, all right, we just got smashed, so let's run it back and try and play more safe than before. I mean, maybe there's an argument for doing that, but at the same time, I would rather say, all right, there's nothing more to lose. Let's just throw everything at them.
And I want to give credit to Stamina for sure, because we were watching the game and we were saying, hey, they're doing pretty good. They were taking fights against JDG. They were challenging them into skirmishes, into team fights, and I think that's a very good sign when it comes to confidence.
And outside of the Baron lane, everything was going all right in the laning phase.
Was going okay. They were not winning, but they were not getting destroyed. Right? And we called it all right. We called it all right. Against
when
the
you're up
Chinese,
against the number 2 seed from WRL, you'll take it.
So it's all right if you don't get destroyed. But we want to see more. Like, but we said, you know, this is the thing with Chinese teams. These guys are mechanical gods. These guys, their brains are so good. They know what to do. Like, it's you're watching a perfect game pretty much, right? Like, you're watching a perfect game, so you got to be on top of that. So that's the level that Stamina has to win this game.
Well, you have to do a couple things. We talked about this when it comes to WRL teams, and TA, one of our casters, actually, his read of it is, look, step number 1, you have to match them mechanically. You have to actually be able to hang with these players and not just die level 1 in the lane. So, hey, 4 out of 5 ain't bad for Stamina to start off, but then after that, even if you match them mechanically, you also have to match them, or at least have a game plan of macro-wise, because they will play the map, which we saw in that game.
And I want to say something, just so the viewers kind of know what it means to match these teams mechanically. So what we mean with that is having the fast fingers, the quick fingers, the quick
thumbs,
flashes. So an example would be, for example, like 100% block rate with your stasis on a Camille ultimate. Like, for us normal players, that's hard, but for the Chinese players, this is normal. Or dodge out a Malphite ultimate with your flash. These are the types of things. Like, what I posted on Twitter, like, guys, I did it.
That's YouTube montage reel. Yeah.
They do it. It's like, whatever, you know, just did it. You could have done it just a little bit faster next time, but good job. Dodged it this time.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? It's half of it. Half of the formula of getting the WRL. And the other half is, just as TJ mentioned, just as you mentioned, it's all about what you do after the laning phase. Where do you go? Which towers you go first? Are you going to take Dragon? Are you going to trade? There's so many things.
So let's see what the players behind us actually have cooking up, because we are getting ready for game number 2. Stamina down 0-1 against JDG, the number 2 seed from the WRL. Grandin Omo, take it away.
Just another day in the office here for JD Gaming as they move into game number 2 against Stamina, and I'm here with Omo. Did you shrink?
Well, after that performance from JDG, I kind of felt the impact here as well, so it kind of knocked me down a pack.
What's happening? Should I be concerned? Like, it's your height's changing?
Don't worry about it. I think what we should be worried about is what Stamina is going to go through in this next game. Riku said, I think, that JDG wasn't at 100% yet. This wasn't their full power. And I'm kind of inclined to agree. They looked like they were having fun.
Look, if they're going to go in with the Ziggs Corki, they're not trying to end the game fast.
Yes. That is true, and I want to point out the Ziggs pick as well, the Ziggs priority from JDG. We had a lot of theories that maybe this would be the time when we switch back to a Dragon Lane focus, a marksman-focused meta. It seems like Chinese teams, WRL teams, at least in the first game, there's confidence saying we're happy playing mages, we're happy playing wave clear, let's still play the 4 protect 1, let's play 4 facilitates 1, let our star junglers carry.
Back to blue side here for Stamina as they once again get rid of the Singe, but this time instead of the Lee Sin, they're going to get rid of the Ziggs. Strong wave clear option, gets out of the way.
Extremely obnoxious pick to play against as well. He chucks out bombs from a screen away, clears waves like it's nothing really. Takes down your towers as well every time you have the Rift Herald with the Satchel Charge combo. Karma Band, this is perfectly understandable. Champ is broken.
Yeah, want to get rid of the Karma. JDG with the exact same bans as last game allows Stamina to go back for Lucian again. They're doubling down on this, Omo.
Yeah, we run it back here, and Stamina, what they've basically said with this adaptation is, we think Ziggs was a bit of the problem, and I think if you look at the last game, I would not say that Ziggs was the problem. The problem was that JDG was out-tempoing you when you had an early game draft, and removing Ziggs does not fix that in the slightest. Now they have Lee Sin, they're gonna out-tempo you even harder.
Exactly, look at what happens here. Because you've left up Lee Sin this time around, JDG say we're gonna play for that. The Sinjao comes across, it's a response for Stamina. We've seen them go for this one before. Lezing's done an amazing job trying to activate his team, but I'm looking towards avoiding it again. What pickup they want to go for?
There we go.
The set once again.
Can you really blame them for going back with this? I think he did a good job in the last game. What I would
job,
like
honestly.
to see. Great job, that's fair, yeah. What I would like to see... Okay then, JDG say whatever you can do, we can do that bit better. They pick up the Lux themselves as kind of a Ziggs substitute. I think that's a good option here from the side of JDG as well. Still has very long range in tandem with the Cocky.
Really long range, really good backup, but they need a front line to back this one up. They cannot allow Stamina to run in on them, especially when you have the set, you have the Xin Zhao, very quick, easy engage option, so they still need to decide what they want to go for with that. Ban's now starting to come through. JDG, remove the Camille. You don't want to leave any more strong engage options up.
This is a fair point here from JDG. You start banning away with Dev's champion pool. That's kind of what Hell's Devil touched on as well. Maybe it's time to go back to the mechanical challenges, go back to what he's good at, what he's fond of playing. I think Camille was one of his most picked, and also with Dev's probably best champion throughout the split, throughout playoffs at least. Barring the Garen, I want to see what he goes for right now. Other carry picks like maybe the Fiora, frankly, I was not very impressed with. So let's see what other options with Dev has available to him here. JDG, they still need to fill out the support position. Rakan is banned away, so what's left for them?
JDG removing the Morgana here, something that we've been expecting, but we won't spoil just yet. We're going to keep that one for when it does show up.
Sure. Yeah, and it likely will show up pretty soon. Morgana is one of the stronger picks in multiple roles as well, let's just say. Looking at the draft play out, Renekton being banned away with Dev says, I don't want to deal with that again.
It's not something you want to deal with, so JDG need to decide what else they want to play for.
There we go.
Shen
yeah.
coming across.
This is one of the highest priority picks throughout multiple regions, and this is a pick which WRL especially loves. We saw the cross-map play come in from JDG last game. Guess what champion lets you cross-map better than any other? Shen.
You have a global teleport, you have a global ultimate that brings you anywhere you want to go, but you also have this interesting interaction with the Akali, especially with the Shuriken flip.
Sure, well...
She gets a free ride to tag along if she manages to get everything to align.
The stars need to align for that to happen, but if Akali tags you with the Shuriken flip, she can follow you across the map and stand united.
Theoretically.
I haven't seen it yet.
Theoretically.
Not in Wild Rift, I haven't seen it yet. But we will see a Gragas here come in from the side of JDG. That's going to go over to Doki. He did a great job with the Rakan last game. Let's see if he can replicate that performance with Gragas.
A slightly different look, but still largely the same. Without the Ziggs to just go for the Lux instead.
Yeah.
Gives him that option. The difference really does come in here with Death. Now on the Akali, a more aggressive option. Hells mentioned this earlier as well. You don't want to go back on the Garen. You have to take the skill check. Accept your fate here against Lemon.
And I do want to point out Akali, while he might have a pretty decent matchup against the Shen with the Conqueror, with the Divine Sunderer, there are 3 champions here, maybe even 4 champions that you have a really tough time against. Lee Sin reviews you in your Shroud. Corki's Phosphorus Bombs review you in your Shroud. Lux just binds you mid-dash. Gragas does the same with the Body Slam. Akali's going to have a very hard time trying to pop off this game. And once again, I want to look to Sirius in the mid lane with this Lucian pickup to see what he can do.
All right, give me a number. What's the timer we're looking at for Sirius? What's he need to get done?
Are you asking me how long they're going to last in this game, or what are you asking me?
I'm asking you how long does Sirius have to get ahead in the mid lane?
Well, if he builds Hullbreaker Black Cleaver again, he has 0 minutes. He's just lost the game.
Well, it depends on how things go for the very first item build, I suppose, here for STMN Esports as they face up against the Juggernauts, JD Gaming, in game number 2 in the Icons Global Championship.
This is going to be a very exciting one because yet again we see a clash of styles from these 2 teams. Stamina, they have the burden to play fast, to play a bit more aggressive. They don't have the late game insurance with the Jacks, but I guess that's a good thing because frankly they're never getting to the late game against JDG anyway. So let's just all in. Let's just back up a point and let's see what we can do if we play aggressive from the get-go against JDG. It's not going to be easy, but let's see if they can do it.
Avoid the strong points from your enemies. That's what Stamina want to get done as you go up against JDG.
Is that also a Bruce Lee quote?
I think that's like a Sun Tzu quote, probably.
Okay.
Probably, something along those lines.
And look at this, not respecting the triple strike here from Lemon. That's not something which should happen at level.
Yeah, a really bad start here from with Death. Loses half his health bar going up against Lemon. Again with the Ignite, so he has the aggressive edge. Yeah. You wouldn't think that for the Shen, but that's what he does.
Shen does a lot of damage. Some matchups that you might think on paper Shen has a bad time against, a very good example is the Darius. You might think, you know, Darius into tanks, you're gonna have a great time. I've seen Shen win that matchup like 45, 55% of the time. Like, you know, that's kind of like the range that we're looking at here. Sure. Shen is a champion which does a lot of damage in the early stages. Exhaust being traded, that's gonna be it though.
We do see a move coming through from Doki. He's been spotted out by Lezing. As they move into the mid lane, just trying to tag out some damage. Singdo is going to be on the other side of the map. Look at parallel jungle here.
This is a good adaptation from Stamina. They were a step behind the last time around. Oof, look at that, just using the Ignite to force Wef Death away. But guess what? Singto's here.
Double sums up and a wave
Oh,
crashing
no,
in.
Doki's
Doki's
here.
coming in here to make it an unfair fight. Avoidant rushing over as quickly as he can, but you have to get the shot out now. And still, First Blood moves over to JDG.
And yet again, with Death, he dies with Barrier and Flash, both available. Avoidant now is dead as well, by the way.
He's
dead.
level 2. The Ignite comes across. The Haymaker comes in with the shield, but tanking up the turret and walking out, dropping aggro a second to JDG.
And JDG just dictate the tempo of the game. What did I tell you, Grandin? You give them the Lee Sin, you identified that Ziggs was the problem? Well, Lee Sin is going to be 5 times more of a problem here in tandem with Doki. This jungle support combo that the WRL teams love to play around. Just come in, dive off the early lead, the early trading advantage that Lemon got, and right off the get-go, 1,000 gold lead from JDG. We're barely 2 minutes in game.
Credit where credit is due. Avoidant moved up to the top side. He mashed the rotations from
And
Doki.
died.
A little bit
gave
later.
another kill.
A little bit later, but he mashed the rotations, and that's the kind of proactivity I wanted to see from Avoidant. He's done so in the first game. He's doing it in the second game. Unfortunately for him, With That was already too low. He's already gone down before he could get to the top side.
Yeah, and right now it's not going to get any easier. Shen is already level 5, by the way. He's going to have to stand united. If Stamina try to make a play anywhere on the map, it's going to be a numbers disadvantage. Lemon just trading freely right there. If there was a level 5 and ultimate available from Wef Def, he might have turned that around. But here we go.
Moving on, Avoidant to get the Dragon's Rage kick back onto the set. Pulls him back towards the Lux, but they're not able to finish off the kill yet. The final auto attack out from Chip will get it done. And trying to take down a second, but Gomelo walks out in time.
And you kind of see why this matchup is actually pretty good for Macaulay. You get to just zone away to Shen. You can play outside his range. He has to use Taunt to get on top of you, to trade with you. And if he does that, then you're free to trade with him. Extend the trade with you out.
Aggressive moves from Sirius, and he's doing a much better job this time around. The Culling's going to chunk out Juju in the mid lane.
Forces out the AWP as well, but we're just going to see some spells being traded back and forth. Nothing really significant comes out of anything here. 3-minute mark. We've got a minute and a half to go before the next objective spawn, before the Corki package gets popped. This is yet again the timing window. I want to see Singdo and Doki try to look for a cheeky play with. They've been very good on the map. 3 kills, all been picked up by this duo tandem of jungle.
So we get the hallmark on from Juju, but it looks like Sirius will match it as well. I was going to say he might not, but he does do it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Lucian is a champion which really wants to be investing into Hullbreaker because you are so strong early. I think you want to play around that power spike. It's not a bad item by any means, but you have to be able to find a lead on the side lanes. Looking at how JDG wants to play this game, Lee Sin Shen come flying at you. The moment you show your face in the side lane, might be a little suspect.
It's going to be difficult. There's a lot of crowd control that makes it easy for him to try and get in. Second, you see the light binding comes across, for example.
Members from JDG right now.
Dropping some vision to the top side, but JDG, they walk in. Despite that, you can see us coming, but we're still going to take the turret.
There's absolutely nothing you can do. Avoidant.
They're looking for an engage. Avoidant manages to pull them back in, gets a showstopper. Doki flashes over the wall. A beautiful knockback on the Avoidant means another kill going over. Lemon flashes away, gets the prismatic barrier up in time, as Singdo trades back damage with Death, misses the chance for a kill.
I'm going to be real with you here, Grandin. I think if I was playing the Akali right there, I would have gotten a triple kill.
Oh, okay.
Avoidant with a heroic effort,
oh
by the
my
way.
goodness,
Singdo
that's the Stead United. They're diving on the turret. You might have the shroud, but it doesn't matter. Beautifully placed, beautifully timed. The taunt comes in, and it's easy pickings from there.
How good are they, huh? How good are the WRL teams? How good is JDG?
Look, even if you were playing Akali, I'm pretty sure you die.
Well, definitely, 100%. I'd be 0-5 right now. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Changing a tune real quick. We have to see how Sirius does in the side lane. That's one of their only hopes going up against JDG.
Only hope, I would say. Really, frankly, Sirius and Lazing playing the combo like Lucian, Xin Zhao, they really needed to dictate the pace of the early game. Avoidant was there to assist them. We should have seen 3v3s, but Lazing and Sirius, frankly, have not been on the ball with picking their fights and defending their team.
Package picked up here upon JDG's side as objectives spawned up, the first spawn of the game. Going in their favor as this thing's going to make its way down to the bomb side. Juju just has to pop the package. It's an easy escape from there.
They do force out the package, but I think it was close to timing out anyway. That's going to be the Rift Herald picked up. Look at where Doki is on the map. There's no way Stamina can even start this dragon. No objective trait to be had. Just free 2 objectives.
Still solid damage. Sure. Despite the Hullbreaker start from Juju.
Yeah, pretty decent damage, I'll be honest with you there.
Beautiful dodge away.
Okay. Yeah, Doki gets out of that. That's a very important fight starting tool being used as well. Chains of Corruption being down. Gomelo and Avoidant have been doing very good damage this game. I like the usage of the Lux ultimate there to really just stop the back. really just messes with the tempo. And look at Doki, he's not gonna let you back as well. He has explosive costs. You can never recall.
They're
Just
moving
so
on the
obnoxious.
Dragon now. Vision up for stamina, but JDG still pick this one up regardless. As we start to see here, Lemon zoning them out well, avoiding trying to pull him back on the turret, but he just dashes away with the taunt.
Avoidant has been doing a very good job at being aggressive, at starting these plays, but you gotta question is he's... Well, you don't have to question it, you kinda know. He's starting to feel a bit desperate there. Forces a play onto the Shen, outs him back in the turret, but Shen just says, you know what, I can just taunt away, fight's over, Dragon gets picked up. We're on route here to really just seeing a perfect game come out from JDG, Grant.
We had a 5-man pull from Avoidant last game, and despite that, they weren't able
one
to...
kill!
And they weren't able to turn things around. 1 kill over to them.
Yeah.
And I have to say, if I were Avoidant too, I think anyone in this position would feel desperate here. I mean, clearly, he's doing his part. He needs his team to activate themselves.
And it's hard to point fingers here as well, because as a whole, STMN frankly just look a bit outclassed here by JDG. But props to JDG, man. Are they playing insanely well or what?
Just understanding the limits, dancing around them, skirting around them so well. To continue to put the pressure onto Stamina. Now Rift Herald used in the mid lane.
Rift Herald used in the mid lane, you might not have the Ziggs, but that's a one-shot.
A clear execute coming in. The exhaust will buy enough time to keep them alive for now. Taunt a little bit too early there from Lemon. Now with that moves in onto Singdo, taking down the Lee Sin. Chasing off the mid laner. Lemon still now stuck in the jungle of Stamina Esports. JDG moving in to try and rescue the Shen. A beautiful taunt and a final spark. Doesn't need it because Doki will finish them off for you. 4 down inside of Stamina.
Fight continues.
In the mid lane as well, and that's going to be a Prime Gaming ace out here for JDG.
And JDG, they just do not care. They dive you behind your tier 2 turret while your tier 1's still up. And Chu and Doki, man, what did I tell you about the dual tandem? Timeless One might not be here, but Chu's making a serious case for being a stellar Dragon laner himself. In tandem with Doki, really just the two of them have such great synergy.
I think a lot of this comes from the fact that JDG played Weibo in one of their longest series, right? Once he got into the knockout stage, they played against something like 20 games against Weibo.
So you think they kind of learned about
point, you know, both teams have researched each other so much that the players are just kind of like, I think I could fit your style.
And one, you're crazy if you think players actually watch that, but let's take a look at the Coca-Cola pop-off right now. This is the play started out by Singdo. Lethality build. He nearly one-shots the Varus through the exhaust, and that's kind of a misplay from Lemon. He mistimes the
ignite.
It happens. Yeah, the ignite's all good. You get out of dodge, but look at this right now. It looks like Stamina, they might have finally won something. No, we don't get to look at
because there's no time. They just come in with the final spot with Death, narrowly escapes with the perfect execution, but JD hunting for kills at this point.
We missed the best part, but that's what you guys have to remember. Doki and Chi, the combos on these two, Avoidant is just saying, you know what? If you want something done right, you really just gotta do it yourself.
I am the carry now as he takes down Lemon in the top side. They want to dive on the series, but he manages to get away.
Yeah, they do let Sirius get out of that situation, but still, you gotta consider JDG, they're making plays on both sides of the map at once. They're making plays everywhere they want to. They have full control of the game, and they're really using it.
JDG get to easily move around the map now as we get ready for the second objectives coming up. The Rift Tower here again. It's going to be the package picked up here by JoJo as he moves in to the mid lane, setting themselves up for the Dragon as well. I mean, just so much done with every play.
So much done with every play is exactly the name of the game here from JDG. They're making everything work exactly the way they want it. Avoidant and Doki having a bit of a staring contest in the river over the Scuttle Crab. But JDG, they're bringing more members and they have the package.
They walk in. I think Lemon's found the kill onto Sirius. The final auto tank does it. Package coming in as well. That's going to be the audacious charge. When becomes lightning as he dash in, he's going to escort Lemon in onto Avoidant in between turrets. Reptile used up to the top side. There's just nothing wasted on side JDG.
Like I said, Grandin, this is not cross-map play. This is cross-map destruction from JDG right now. Rift Herald takes top lane tier 2. Bot lane tier 1 is still up, but JDG, they're just diving you behind like 2 turrets.
Second charge comes across, but
they
smite
save it.
will stop it.
They even used the Sin ultimate.
Just in time.
Just in time. Look at this. Lemon is proxy farming you right now.
11,000 up now. Lemon's going to walk in. I think he's been caught out of position. Has the Twilight Shroud, but
I can tell you he's laughing right now. He just brought 4 members of Stamina over to kill him behind tier 2 while he's proxy farming your wave. I think he dies, but he has a good laugh about that one.
3 out of 4 deaths. 75% of your team's deaths.
Okay, maybe he's getting some serious stern words from their coach later on.
Yeah. Come on, my guy. Well, he's done an amazing job here so
He
far.
truly has. He's been a lane monster.
Between his Renekton last game and now his Shen in this game, I mean, very frankly, even as you start to see here, going to respawn in time for the Dragon fight, as JDG, just ignore the fact that they're a man down. They're just going to walk into the enemy jungle, take control as they set up for the Mountain Drag. Ooh! Get the knockback onto Whiff again. He doesn't have his ultimate this time around. The Valkyrie going to be used. Exhaust comes in. Sirius looking to trade for some damage.
Man.
Piercing on the exit.
That's frankly a little bit brutal. Whiff had to flash away at the end of that one as well. I want to point out he does have the Lich Bane picked up, so his goal is going to be, you know, trying to be an assassin, trying to get onto Chu, trying to get onto Jojo, but I'm not sure if that's really going to pan out in this game. Maybe with the Death Cap, he could try to make a miracle happen, but like I said, Akali has such a hard time in the JDG's team composition. Taunt, binding, body slam, kick, just really so many spells to shut you down.
Yeah, there's so many things that can easily hold the Akali in place, and
While they were able to see her.
While they were able to deal with it a little bit by removing the stuff like the Rakan from last game, right? By getting rid of the Ziggs, which was easy to do damage while she would be in the Shroud. You know, it just doesn't make this. It just doesn't mean that JDG don't still have options, right?
JDG has
still
plenty
have
of options. Look at the Twin Shadows, the Spooky Ghost coming out from Chi here as well. Just no option for Whiff to play with. And with that win condition gone, you really got to ask yourself, how many win conditions do Stamina have at this point? Frankly, not a lot. Lucian's in. They were supposed to be your early game power. They didn't do anything. They couldn't do anything.
And I want to quickly touch on Gomelo here coming in here as well, right? Because he's kind of like that unsung hero, you know. He's done damage to the Lux. He's doing some work on the Varus here as well. But it's such a difficult position for him to be in because the rest of his team is the one that needs to initiate. They are the playmakers. He's out here trying to do damage from a distance.
He's been doing his part, but frankly, there's nothing he can do as well. You don't have initiative. You don't have the ability to start fights yourself.
Final spark on Gomelo. Flash away from the Varus.
Oh
he gets tagged again. The Sonic Wave, Resonating Strike, Dragon's Rage. Back Lizing and the assassination of Stamina as JDG dive through the turrets. Ignite comes across. Doki's gonna get it done. Going golden. Juju's still alive, but only for a moment longer as Sirius will finally look to take down his counterpart. Dashing in with the safeguard. Singdo finishes him off with the chilling smite to get the triple kill, leaving Sirius the only man alive.
No, JDG, you need to stop this. This is not okay. You're playing on the world stage. You're playing at Icons Global right now, and you're making montage clips like that. That's not okay.
That's not all right. And just continuing to take Stamina.
And somehow the inhibitor dropped as well. Like, oh, that happened.
Putting Stamina on a bad spot. All right, it's a bad light to be under. Let's take a look at that again.
Just let the gameplay speak for itself right now. There's not much I really need to say.
Silence, just silence.
Okay, look at Singdo. Now look at Doki. Look at Doki, man. I think some of the viewers at home will really love that casting.
Sure.
Momo has finally stopped talking. What a glorious day in Twitch chat.
Okay. That was the ultimate. That was a Stand United from Lemon. That was what I was missing. I was wondering, how did Sirius not get the kill? Stand United out from Lemon to keep his mid laners safe. Sirius goes down again. Is going to go over to Singdo once again.
Well, yeah, that sounds about right. That looks about right, Singdo. Look at his build right now. Full damage, not a cat in the wall. Yomu's Ghostblade, Black Cleaver, Divine Thunderer, Guardian's Angel coming right up too. He can do anything he wants. He's styling, he's profiling, he's having a good time. Baron's gonna get taken down by JDG. What's the goal lead, granted? I can't even count it. 16,000?
Yeah, we're looking at a 16,000 gold lead right now. And
Amazing.
Baron going over to JDG. As we see, 6 kills over on Doki, by the way.
Doki is not a support,
Voltec Gragas.
Last game, he had an amazing time on the Rakan. Now on the Gragas, he's also showing off his mechanics, frankly. His explosive costs, barring the first one he used on Gomelo, have been amazing.
Those things are isolated. He's going to use the Crescent Strike to try and knock them away, trying to get back to safety, but gets tagged by the Light Binding the way out. Over to the mid lane. You have to trade somewhere, and Juju might be that target.
Man. Akali out just being used, not doing any damage.
Look at those moves coming in here. Singdo with the flag brings in Lemon. They're on the turrets, they're in the base, they're on the Nexus,
nice
and they're prepared to close this one out. Final spot comes on to Gomelo for a double kill, back over to Singdo. You have to worry about Juju, but the rest of his team will finish off the game, and JDG on the world stage get it done 2-0.
JDG putting on a masterclass here in Game 2, speeding up the pace of the game, playing the tempo, playing aggressively. This is what we love to see from the WRL, and boy, the JDG deliver here in the first match. Stamina, fortunately for them, that was not the best start they could have hoped for, and you can't really blame them because they're playing one of the best teams in the world. Number 2 seed coming out of the WRL.
Another day in the office here for JD Gaming. as they will show the dominance that we expect from the WRL, the previous champions of the Rising Cup, now moving into the Icons Global Championship. Stamina had to be the ones to face off against the second seed from the WRL, but they showed us some good moments. Avoinen had some good highlight moments as well.
And frankly, I've been very impressed by Avoinen. I think his engages have been on point. Gomelo as well. I think his mechanics looked clean. The saving grace for me, the end of the day, in the fountain, he managed to Zhonya stasis out the Lux binding flash. It's such a small thing, but it shows off the chops that he has. He couldn't really do anything in game, but that's not really on him. I would love to see more coming out of the Dragon Lane here from the side of Stamina.
Of course, you're going to have that post-victory photo moment.
Yeah, I love that selfie.
An amazing job done here by JD Gaming, living up to expectations, giving all teams another reason to worry about the matches coming up.
Yeah, I mean, if you weren't worried about the WRL before, JDG Gaming just came out with a statement here in the first match of the Icons Global Championship. And what more can you say? That's kind of what you should be expecting from the WRL.
It is moments like this that give me great faith that we're going to have a bunch of good games here, amazing games here in the Icons Global Championship. As JD Gaming take our very first series, putting them ahead, Stamina now have to play on the back foot right from the get-go. That is that difference. Double elimination. You have to get things going. You could play as little as 4 games, and that's it.
JDG seem like poised to just play 4 games.
They will play 4 games in a different fashion.
In the playoffs, in the best of 5s.
Yes, that's right. And then get ready to move over into the next stage. But we're going to toss it back over to the analyst desk to break down that amazing 2-0 here by JD Gaming.
Caster said it best. If there was any doubt about the strength of the WRL, I think that those are quelled right now. Yeah. Because that was a dominant performance in series number 1 of Icons here. A quick and swift 2-0. And I think we said domination a lot, Hells, but that's really what it felt like.
WRL is looking scary, man. Even though we just said it, like seeing it live, there's a difference between saying something and actually seeing it. Like here we just saw it. That was utter dominance, and it's crazy to me that the number 2 seed played this well, because this was really, really well. This was top notch. So that there's also FPX that apparently is even better than this.
Yeah, and as we look at the highlight package from that game, it really feels like a highlight package. Riku, JDG were playing with so much confidence in this game too. Like the plays that they were willing to go for were just crazy.
Yeah, they were doing a lot of these flashy plays. They were very over aggressive, and the fact that we talked about, you know, earlier, game number 1, 1-3-1. Now it didn't matter. They're gonna do 1-3-1 with whatever picks they wanted to do. Lux gonna split push at top side. It doesn't really matter. There are no rules anymore.
And the mechanics of these plays, Hells, that is also impressive.
Yeah, and that was especially on Lemon on the Shen, because there was one play where he just caught Akali while she was invisible with that taunt. You know how shallow that taunt is from Shen? I can barely hit it on a visible enemy, and this guy just does it on an invisible enemy.
It might be this play right here, actually. No, it might be a little bit later, but hopefully that's in the package. There's so many moments, and especially at the end. I think the best play will be at the end of the package there, because like the caster said, this is just a highlight reel. This is a hype montage from JDG.
It is. I mean, we talked about how Sindo plays a lot of Jax, plays a lot of Kha'Zix, but you know when a jungler from the WRL plays a Lee Sin, oh, you're going to have a fun time.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Seeing him on that Lee Sin, right? Like, we just saw him on the Kha'Zix and seeing him now on that Lee Sin. Pinpoint perfect timings with everything. Those ultimates, the ganks, just everything was so amazing.
Like, even this play, look at how do JDG come out ahead here? Somebody explain it to me like I'm 5.
This one, too, yeah. Oh my god. Just Lux ult, the final spark, just ended everything on that.
This is the big one. This is the big one right here.
Oh. Yeah, here it is. Just look at that timing right there. From J2. Perfect timing right after the stasis. If he was 0.1 seconds later, he wouldn't have hit him because Varus would have sidestepped it. But of course, he's not 0.1 seconds late. He hits it and he'll hit it again.
Best part of this play is it's the smite kill here at the very end. If you watch this, watch. Boom.
Man, what a game from Sindo. What a game from JDG. This is just, again, a statement, and we were talking about how this seems comfortable. This seems like this is not their full power. They're holding things back a little bit, but it still looks like they're very confident in what they already bring for game number, the series number 1.
And speaking of, as we see, they did win the game, of course. If you're just tuning in now, big surprise based on that game number 2. But Lemon was getting caught out a couple of times there. What do you think, Hells? Was this actually Stamina finding picks onto Lemon, or was this maybe disrespectful play from the Shen?
Disrespectful play. That's exactly what I thought. And I want to say that is a little weakness of him, to be honest, because you can't do that. It doesn't matter. If you're 5k out, if you're 10k out, if you're 12k out, it doesn't matter. Because even if you give a 5% chance to the enemy that they could win, just because you did that, that's still 5%. That should be 0. We're expecting perfect plays from these teams, and all of them played perfectly, but we saw Lemon get caught a few times, which, you know, when you're ahead, it gives a pretty big shutdown. So it's not just like you died. No, you died and you gave a lot of gold to the enemy.
And what's interesting about the Shen play, from my perspective, I am a bit of a Shen player on the NA server. I know it's not the most prestigious server, but he didn't go for the Hullbreaker split push build like we see a lot of Shens go for. This was a purely team fight build, and talking about the mechanics and the confidence, Riku, he was aggressively Shen ulting constantly through that game.
And the thing is, you think that Sindo will always be the deliverer, the package delivery. No, there's a Corki that delivers a package plus a Shen as well once he Valkyries forward.
And even the Gragas as well. Like, there were so many deliveries.
And the gold graph from JDG is dwarfing Mount Everest as well. So, like, it's crazy to see how they just, it goes up and up and up, and it doesn't come down. Like, JDG, yet again, 20 kills, 6 deaths. 20k gold league, just like the first game, and it took them 15 minutes. Yet again, it's like deja vu from the first game. I thought it would be 10 to 12 minutes, but it seems like they're doing it in 15 minutes. But like you can see, very, very clean. It could have been cleaner if they didn't do the disrespectful play. This is China.
I would like to say, from the side of Stamina, I know it's a tough loss.
Yes.
0-2, fans of this region, fans of this team, this one's going to hurt. You're up against the second seed from the best region, though. So first off, you know, you should still hold your heads high that the team put on this performance in the first couple of minutes, holding off especially in that game number 2, where we were saying adaptation from game 1 to 2. What did they do? They got rid of the Garen. They said, all right, let's put With Death actually on something that he can try and make plays on. So I'm happy that they were leaning into that.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. The fact that, you know, we saw With Death having to encounter Singdo many times under his tower, and even at the second tier tower in the mid lane, he's still able to eliminate Singdo there on the Lee Sin. So I think that's a very good sign for the next few series that Stamina has to take.
And it's funny because Zindo got 3 kills while the enemy Jin Zhao was still trying to farm his jungle. Like, you know, I'm trying to get gold right now. I'm trying to get to level 5. But meanwhile, Jindu already has 3 kills. Ganked the Baron lane and ganked the bot lane. Got the support. Gragas 2 kills as well. Like, he basically already won the game while you're still farming.
Well, JDG, given the performance that we are expecting, Stamina, they still have another life in this double Elim best of 3 play-ins bracket. So, with that said, that's it for game number 1, or series number 1, rather. A lot of fights there, but up next, 2 teams that don't know how to play it safe and not have a high-fight team game. It's Unsold Self and RRQ. Icons 2022 continues in just a few minutes.
We don't give a damn about it.